everybody. Thank you for being here. Okay, question 3. We don't know why chapter 3 has so many questions, but it does. So we're doing another Q&A. Hope you like it. This is the governor's wife, and you know the governor's wife, he made her, the wife made him the governor. Now we're doing something far more important than making him a governor. We're making him the king of our world. So here we go. And anyone who isn't watching this show is going to say, what is she talking about? But you're here. We're a team. We're the club. This is the Secret Wives Club. And we're going to questions right now. Go ahead, Sarit.
Okay, so yes, it was a very question-filled chapter. Molly says, my husband always asks me to remind him when to go to appointments or to wake him up from a nap. I don't want to be his mother. I want to be his wife. What can I do?
Okay, I'm glad you actually, this is one of my favorite things because people think this is helpful. Ladies, you're not, remember this, write this down. This is a meme. Go ahead. Alana, make this a meme. That you are not your husband's police. Bad move. You're not your husband's police. Your job, that's actually, make this the title of the thing, right? Women just think that, oh, you know, they're Azer Kenegdo, the helpmate opposite him. I'm really going to do whatever I can to make his life great. Well, that makes his life awful. It's if there's only one circumstance ever that you should be his police, waking him up, telling him where he has to be and when he has to be there. If he requests it in such a sincere way, and you don't feel bad about it, you don't mind at all. It's like, yeah, no big deal. Oh yeah, by the way, your class starts, you know, whatever. If you don't mind it at all, and he doesn't mind at all, which is only about 1% chance that this is true, ladies, then you can go ahead and do this. 99% of the time, it's a bad idea. And if you're like, well, my husband's always late to shul, and he said, that's not your problem. That's not you. Now, if you want to say, oh, you know, what time does mincha start again? What time does shul start? You know, what time are you supposed to be there? Whatever, you know, maybe that would be okay. But saying, oh, it's time to go. So it could be both the way you do it and how you do it. That could make a difference. But for the most part, being each other's police is a bad idea. Ladies, how many people have been on a diet? Okay, ever, okay? You've been on a diet. If you made your husband your police and he said, are you sure you want to eat that? You know, are you joking? Like, really? Think about it. You're standing there and you're at the fridge and you're looking and there's carrots and there's an apple and then there's the cheesecake from the Shabbos or whatever. I guess you're not eating on Shavuos. You got cheesecake, right? What? And he says, don't go for that cheesecake. What you know, like, hello. Can I do that on the air, Sarit? I don't know. Okay. So, but the point is that you need to figure out ways to get him where he needs to go without you saying a word. So it's not like you can't help him and be supportive. You can. If you're going to bed, you can say, you know, are you going to set your alarm? You can, you know, whatever, but you cannot be his nag. It's a bad habit to get into. Even if he says, I want you to do it, he will still take it like you're his mother. So best case, the best advice in this is do whatever you can in your life to try and get out of being his police, his you know, what do you call it? Like his watchdog. It's just a bad setup. Even doing it for your kids, you know, they're never going to learn to self-regulate and to learn self-mastery if they aren't, you know, able to figure it out and take the consequences of being late every day and take the consequences. You know, you can teach them, you can train them, you can wake up earlier, you have to set your food, your clothes out the night before, you know, instead of breakfast, having a nice, lovely bowl of cereal, have a granola bar. I mean, these are not ideal, but you can help them and give them ideas and brainstorm and work with them, but don't be their police. Okay, next question, Sarit.
So from Tamar, my husband travels a lot and he's not home during the week. He comes home on the weekends and I'm burnt out. How can I prioritize him when he's not even home?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a little bit of challenging. And believe it or not, there are a lot of women, I get that question a lot. I mean, there's a lot of women whose husbands do this kind of thing. So you're not alone. At least you should take comfort in that. It really depends on, you know, you're asking two questions. One is a logistics question and one is an emotional question. So for logistics, I don't know what you can do in your life, whether it's financially viable for you to get more help during the week so that you're not a rag by Friday. And if you can't afford to get extra, babysitters in the afternoon, or somebody to help with the bath, or something, cleaning help coming in a few times a week, or whatever it is, if you aren't able to get supported that way, so you're not so exhausted, you can trade. You can say, okay, you're one of your neighbors, or a sister, or a close friend, you take the kids on Tuesday and I'll take them on Thursday, or vice versa. Actually, take the Thursday, give them the Thursday, so you can be more resident, whatever. But, trade off something with a friend that doesn't cost any money. And maybe it's a little complicated because their kid always eats too much sugar when they go to that house. That's fine. Your koiches and your serenity is worth it. It not looking exactly the way that you want it to look. Now, if they're doing worse things than that, then you've got a bigger problem. But hopefully you have friends that have similar values to you, and you can do the trade-off. So that is a logistics thing, is getting yourself more supported, figuring out your life, that, if having guests is stressful for you, but your husband loves guests, and what's stressing you out when your husband comes home is that you've got you're cooking and doing this extra thing and making sure the dining room is perfect. And, you're doing all that. Just try and ratchet all of that down. Why? Because shalom bayis is the number one biggest priority in your life. And so if that means that you aren't taking care of the neighbors, and you're not taking care of the community, okay, do what you need to do to take care of yourself so you can take care of your marriage. So that's the logistics. The emotional is, he's gone all week, and every little, hiccup that happens in life, which is every day. Thank you very much. Okay. Every hiccup you've had to bear on your own because he's out of town. I have somebody whose husband works in Asia, believe it or not, and comes home on the weekend. So, and not reachable, different time zone, day's night, night is day. So the issue is that for emotional sustenance, you need to develop a really good system with your husband of communication. Like, is he going to call you every day? Is he going to call you every other day? Is he going to, when you have, like this happened and then that happened, it could be that at the end of every day, you write an email of things that went crazy and things that you're happy about, or something like that. And you send that to him, and he has to respond to each one, whether, maybe he puts a little check mark, got it. Oh, ow, oops, sorry, you had to deal with that, or whatever. Some way where you can communicate during the week that works for you. He may not have time for that. You may not have time for that, but there's got to be something, even if it's just a little bit of support. I once told a student, and I said to her, he just needs to text you hearts during his, during the week. When he's not there, you need to get like 5 hearts during the week. Tell him to do them anytime. Tell him to set a reminder on his phone that says send wife heart. It's not important, but that she said to me, she feels connected to him for that simple little thing. So you've got the logistic issues and the emotional issues, and you need to take care of both and brainstorm, figure out what's going to work. Talk to your husband. Wait, great questions.
Okay, so Rena says, my husband complains quite frequently and it really bothers me. Am I supposed to bring this up to him or try to let it go? I feel like if I do bring it up to him, even in a mindful way, he'd get upset. However, his negativity not only makes me feel yucky, but it makes me see him in a negative light.
Trying to change the core of who he is. I don't know what he's complaining about. If he's complaining about, oh, this one at work did this and that and the other, or he's complaining about you don't cook well, or the house is always a mess when I come home. I don't know whether it's like this personal stabs at you, or just he likes to vent and let off steam. If it's venting and letting off steam, that's one case scenario, and that's kind of like, it's his habit and it's his way. It could be that when somebody is a complainer, there's different types of complainers, there's different types of people. So if he's a real complainer and about everything, it could be that he's not feeling heard by you, and so he's complaining more to get a rise out of you. That's possible. There's probably like a 20%, 80% chance he's just a complainer, but there's a 20% chance that he's sending messages and this and that, and you're saying, oh, your boss is annoying. Well, you just have to live with it. So don't take it so seriously. Whereas if you were to say, oh, I'm sorry you had to deal with that, then he wouldn't have to feel like he has to keep pounding you with what's bothering him, because he got what he needed. He got the validation or the sympathy or the compassion that he was looking for. So that's first off. The second thing is if he's complaining about, and also that could be, you can talk to him about that. You can have, talk to him about being a complainer. Does he want to be a complainer? Again, this is after he's well fed, after you're well fed, after you're both rested. These types of serious conversations, you have to be very careful in how you bring it up. So, but that can be a topic of conversation of his negativity. So that's one issue. The second issue is if he's complaining about you and putting you down, or saying something you're doing isn't wrong, or he's disappointed in you, that you need to have a more serious discussion with, of what's underlying that. It might mean you have to go to therapy to try and figure out, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to repair our relationship where you're not always putting me down? Is he putting you down because he's unhappy with you, or he had expectations before coming into the marriage, or because he learned from his parents that they're always knocking each other? These are things that need to be discussed, and it's not like you should live with that. That's something that needs to be handled and fixed, because that's not okay. A person complaining about their life, it's not great, but that's livable. Complaining about you and putting you down, that needs to be fixed. That can't remain. It's not good for your self-esteem. It's not good for him. After 120, he'll get upstairs and he'll have what to pay for, because making onus devarim and causing pain to a fellow person is a big avera, big sin, big problem. He'll pay for that, and you don't want him to, because you're going to share eternity with him. So you want that needs to be repaired. There might be books on it. You might need a third party, because if he's that inclined to put you down, it'd be hard to change by just a conversation or a few conversations. Okay, Sarit, next question. Great questions, guys.
Okay.
Keep it
Yeah,
up.
aren't they?
Questions.
Really
Yeah.
good questions.
Mhm.
Okay, so Rivki asks, my husband is not working right now and is feeling depressed. Would it be helpful to tell him about how he's the source of all blessings in our house, even when he's unemployed, or should I not go there and just be supportive in general?
You're yummy. What a good question. And the answer is for sure, you need to tell him that. He'll get a job the next day. If he knows that you are that he's the source of all blessing. So it's almost like it's just very motivating. It's just, for a guy, it just feels like, oh, I'm the king. Oh, okay. Well, his whole self-esteem will shift in the other direction, and he won't be, it can help him out of depression. Depression is a pretty troubling thing. When you're dealing with a spouse with a depression, there's 5 keys to depression, and I don't have them in my notes. So I just remember, one is going out in the sun every day. One is sleep, very, very good sleep hygiene. One is eating well. One is exercise. It doesn't even matter, walking around the block for 5 minutes. But anyways, if you start with those 4, that's good enough. So, these are just like standing on one foot, how to treat depression. But sometimes it needs meds, and people are against meds or whatever. You should really look into it. If it can really turn somebody around. So you have to know for yourself. You have to ask the doctor. You have to ask your Rav. But sometimes it's a chemical imbalance, and those can really help. So I'm sorry he's depressed, and just be as loving as you possibly can, to supporting as much as you can. And one of the things, when your husband is out of work, don't start to act like, oh, now he can help you with the dishes, and he can help you with the childcare, and he can help you do all kinds of things that he wasn't doing before. It's degrading to him. I'm not saying he shouldn't chip in and pitch in. And if you're working still, and he's, whatever, and he's home all day, I hear there is a temptation to do that. But I see women, their husband's out of work, and they think, well, he might as well do this and that and the other. And they put full-time, taking over a lot of the particles that they would take over to give to him, because he's home anyway. His motivation to get a job, and his motivation to have that self-esteem is gone when a woman does that. And there is a little piece, this is very politically incorrect, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a part of a man that, when he's asked to do women's work, right? Come on, it should be equal. He should I vacuum, he vacuum, but there's certain things that seem very feminine to a man. It depends on the house he grew up in. But if the wife, if his mother always cooked and his father didn't even know where to find the butter knife, and that's what he's used to, then if you ask him to cook, he's going to feel like, oh, that's all I'm good for. I'm turned into a lady. It's very bad for his self-esteem. So I'm sorry to say it, because it double the burden. Now you're carrying him emotionally because he's depressed and he's out of work and the finances are struggling, and you can't get the extra help. Do as little. I know that's a tall order. So do as little as you possibly can. I mean, ask him to do as little as you possibly can, if possible. Okay, good. Sorry. Next question.
Okay, so Donna says, sometimes we might think we're prioritizing our husbands, but we're doing it resentfully. Does that still count?
1,000%, 1,000, not 100, 1,000%. That still counts. Let me see if I can get this. No. Okay. 1,000%. You definitely, you're so cute. Sorry. She's laughing. You're so sweet. 1,000%. It's fake it till you make it. And it's kind of like, and this is a Torah concept. This isn't like some new age, whatever, or a Nike slogan. This is, our husband is the giver, we're the receiver. And if you are receiving what your husband's giving, you're done. And you will start to, there's a Jewish a core belief, a core tenet or whatever, that when you take the actions, it goes internal. So for instance, somebody who's depressed, and was the lady who just asked, tell them to smile all the time. Smile as much as possible, smile. Smiling all the time there's many sources for this, and I'm blanking on who said it. That if you smile, it will go internal. So this is the same exact thing. Great question. Okay, next one.
Okay, so Sharon says, I always compliment my husband and he never believes me, and it makes me want to stop.
Okay, I hear. The question is, when you're having a tender moment with your husband, ask him, why, what is it about, I just want to know, I compliment you and you can't take it in. You feel, what do you think I'm, is there something from your childhood that when someone compliment you, you didn't believe them? Explore it with him in this loving way as you possibly can. Say to him, I want to be close to you. I want you to feel my appreciation. I want you to feel my closeness. I want you to feel the compliments. I want them to go into your heart. Why? Because I want to raise you up, because I love you. And I want you to feel as good about yourself as possible. And when you reject my compliments, I just feel like something's broken. Like, well, why? And it hurts me. It makes me want to cry, because it's like, you're such a wonderful man, and you just why? What's the blockage? I want to remove that blockage. Help me figure out how to remove the blockage. If you speak from your heart in this way, God willing, he'll listen, and you'll be able to at least open up the door. It's kind of unboxing something and looking at it together in a safe environment. And just as a little side, it's very important to keep a safe, have those safe windows. Look, there's time when life is like this, and you're gonna pots in the state, and kids running in and whatever, and they just tracked mud all over the floor and blah blah blah. We all have those moments. That's not a tender moment where you're trying to connect. You might try and connect by making it lighthearted and say, "Oh, great! I just washed the floor. I was so glad that you came and messed it up again." So there's things you can do to lighten up the atmosphere, but in the heart of it, you want to have a safe environment for your husband to be able to share with you these deep things, so that you can get closer to him. Okay, good. Okay, next, Sari.
Well, I'm telling you, Leah, when you speak like that, I'm like, oh, I want to share. I'll share with you how I feel.
Oh.
No, I'm serious. I need to bottle that, so that when I have to do it, I actually can do have that same sound in my voice. Your tone goes down. You sound so welcoming and loving. Okay. Rachel says, is
Mutual
it okay
Admiration Society, Sari. Thank you.
Yes!
You made my talking about compliment and how good it feels. This is just proof right there. I feel pretty good right now.
Okay. Rachel says, is it okay that I ask my husband to stay outside if he's still on a business call before entering the home?
That's a good question. I would phrase it differently. I would say, what do you think about the idea of staying out when you're in a business call? I don't know that I would use it, though. I mean, in other words, if I were going to say that, that's how I'd say it. Would I say it? I probably wouldn't, because for him, walking in the door, talking on the phone, he's home. He's home. You know what I'm saying? Like, being not home And sometimes, if he does that, he'll be out there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you just want him in the door. Just welcome in the home. It's kind of, I get it. It's kind of annoying, but I think if you welcome him in the home, and when he walks in the home, if you're bringing him a piece of chocolate, or you bring him his face, so if you're making that homecoming so yummy, it could be, don't count on it, but it could be that eventually he's like, I got to go off the phone. I'm getting my chocolate, whatever. And chocolate can be physical chocolate, or it can just be a warmth and a welcoming that he doesn't want to miss, because he doesn't want to be on the phone while you're saying, hi, how was your day? It's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy, like that. Okay, fine. Great question. Go ahead, Sari.
Okay, I love that. Okay.
Guys.
So Lena says, if an issue pops up with your husband and you handle it the wrong way, is it worth bringing it up with him again later and working what went wrong?
I'm not following exactly the question.
Meaning, so something happened and you didn't react the right way, and then, okay, you moved on, but is it okay to bring it up later and to sort of try to
whoever wrote the question, can you give an example, because it's too esoteric, too vague and esoteric.
Okay, so we're gonna wait for an example.
Okay.
We're gonna wait for an example. Meanwhile, Tanya asks, how important are weekly date nights?
So there's a big movement for weekly date nights or whatever, and self-care and all this kind of stuff. I don't know, because our bubbies and zadies didn't have, weekly date nights, and they did fine. But maybe the world was different then, and there was more connecting, because they were both milking the cows at the same time. What do I know? So I don't know.
There you go, Leah, with cows again. You and cowbells. There's something about the
cows. My cowboy bell going. How did he hear something? Okay, I've got to find my cowboy. Anyway, so the thing is that, I don't know. I think it's a good idea. And there's some people who think it's a very good idea, like a must-have part of the relationship. But it could be that just, having 20 minutes or an hour at the end of every day where you're schmoozing about your life works just as good as date night. Sometimes date night just devolves into a discussion about what camp the kid should go to, or what happened at the last event that you went to, and he said this and you said that. So it's not a bulletproof, like, oh, that'll fix your marriage. Also, sometimes it goes and then the wife just ends up complaining to him about all the things that he does that bothered her the whole time. Not so good. So it depends on what your date night consists of. If your date night is just having fun together, great. Discussing things that are mutually, they need to be discussed, that away from the house, and sitting in a restaurant or something like that, or better, it's a better time for that, maybe. Having fun together is also crucial in the marriage, but you can have fun together at a Shabbos table. So I guess it depends on the answer. The standing on one foot answer is it depends. Okay, if you find you have no time with your husband, and then you got to make date night. You got to. If you find that it's stressful, or trying to get babysitters or whatever doesn't work in your life, I can hear that also. So I would say most people should try to have a date night. 75 or 80% of people should try to have a date night. Be very careful of what happens on the date night. Ladies, if you want to complain, don't do it during date night. If it's about to come out of your mouth and just say it's date night, zip, where's my duct tape? Zip your lip, because then he'll be much less motivated to go on the next date night. And is that manipulative? And is that like, oh, I've got to walk on eggshells? Guess what, ladies? Our life is about walking on eggshells with every person you meet. Someone says to me, oh, yeah, well, you should be able to let your hair down. Well, that's pretty selfish. That's pretty mean to try and, to just be who you want to be. This was a whole movement in the last decades, it's not nice. It's not nice. And if your husband didn't walk on eggshells, right? And your husband just said, you look fat in that outfit. Thank you. I'm gonna kill him. Right. So, so no, you're walking eggshells. Walk on eggshells. It's your job. That's what you need to be doing. Okay, good. Next question.
Okay, so I know, I know we're wrapping up, but we did get an answer from Lana, who
Fantastic.
said her scenario is if you ask your hubby to do something and it came out controlling and he got really upset but did it anyways, but you still feel bad about how you handled it and you want to sort of bring it up to
Your
him.
husband said something controlling. I see. And you.
No. Your husband, you ask your husband for something,
Right.
but you said it in a controlling way and he wasn't happy and he did it anyways, but he was really not happy because he felt you
I
were
get it.
controlling him. And now you
Okay.
feel bad about it and you want to bring it up, like you want to clear the air and you want to talk about it and
Sure.
discuss
I don't
it.
understand the question. Of course. Of course, of course, of course. There is never enough I'm sorry's to fill. I mean, it's an empty pit. And the more sorries you can say, look, you want to come to the point where your husband spills a bag of flour all over the kitchen and you say, I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm sorry is going to open a closeness, the heart, his heart. You know what I'm saying? He's going to start saying sorry. Instead of being mad, you're saying sorry. So the question she's saying is if she comes after and said, you know, I thought back on it and I'm really sorry I handled it that way. He's like, wow. She recognized the pain she caused. She thought about it later. She just didn't brush it off. She cares so deeply of me that she did that. And she brought it up in the nicest way and is trying to get better. Like, oh my God, I love this woman. I love this woman. I love this woman. That's who you want to be. So 100%. Okay. This is fantastic. This has been great, ladies. We're going to be finishing chapter 3 in the next show. And then send in your questions. Thanks. This is Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. We will see you next time.